Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned. And this little dude, Boo Radley, has been sick for the last 2 days. He's been curled up in bed, he's been sneezing. I've never had a dog in my entire life that sneezes and sounds like they have a cold. But today he's actually feeling a little bit better, aren't you? But he really doesn't want to leave my side. He's like hanging right here with me the whole time. So he's helping me make videos today. I was thinking about this story last night, and I was like, I really want to tell it on my Peterisms channel, but I didn't really know like what the learning experience or the lesson was from it. And you know, the more I thought about it, I talked a little bit about it on my vlog. So if you guys don't follow my vlog, it's listed below. I talked a little bit about it on my vlog, but then I was like, no, I want to save the story for my Peterisms channel because I really want to put this story out there because it was something that I forgot, and it was a very kind of, I don't know, a cool thing that happened to me, and it's very simple, but it's just really cool too. So my parents got separated when I was, I think, 5.5 years old, 6 years old, and then they got divorced when I was 7 or 8, I don't know, within that time period. And my dad, I can remember when he moved out, and then I can remember when I started first grade, and we lived about a mile, I think like a mile from the elementary school that I went to. And because of that, back in the day, I don't know how things are now, but I was a walker. And what that meant was that I walked to school every day. I didn't take a school bus. If you lived farther out, you took a school bus, but I didn't, so I was a walker. And we lived on the cul-de-sac of a very long street, and so I would have to walk all the way to the end of my street and then turn right and then walk all the way down. It was like a mile long all the way to my school. Well, I can remember that, like, my dad was very, very concerned with me, like, I mean, we probably wouldn't allow that today, would we? I mean, in 2018, but back then, you know, people left their front doors open, and I have a lot of friends of mine that live out in the country, and they're like, we leave our front door unlocked all the time, even when we're not here, you know? I miss those days. I miss days of just that ultimate trust, and, you know, like, neighbors helped each other out, and what happened to that, you know? The good old days, and, like the Judds say, Grandpa, tell us about the good old days. Anyway, I've been listening to a lot of country music today. Tell me about the good old days. Boo Radley likes the Judds. I digress. So my dad was really worried about me walking there, I think. And especially because I didn't have like a lot of friends, and so I'd be walking by myself. And I remember that he came over and we like walked it at like the afternoon, and we like did a trial run of like what it would be, and he timed it and like how long it would take me and what time I needed to leave by and all that kind of stuff. Now, I've talked about this in other videos. I don't know if I've talked about it on this channel. From the time that my dad moved out to the time that I graduated from high school, my father called me every morning that I was in school. I don't care if he was traveling out of the country, where every morning my father called me to make sure that I was up for school and to wish me a good day. I mean, every morning, okay? So that's the quality and the character of the man that raised me. He is phenomenal. My dad is one of the coolest men that I have ever met in my entire life, and sees things in a very, I don't know, wise way. And he's the one that taught me that once you give your integrity away, you can never get it back. And I think it's such a valuable lesson because I see people on a daily basis just hand over their integrity, and I'm like, you're done. Like, I mean, once you give it away, you can't get it back. People aren't going to believe you again, at least not the people that you really want to believe you, you know? And that's sad to me. I see that, you know, not just on YouTube, but like in the real world, more so, I think I see that in the real world. And he's just taught me so many lessons in my life. Pick your battles, you know, do what you love and the money will follow, chase your dreams. He's, you know, all those things. My dad has always embedded this kind of, you know, my dad, one of the first things he always used to, or one of the first things lessons that he really, one of the first lessons that he taught me that really stuck, you know, was I don't care what you do as long as you contribute positively to the world. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you make YouTube videos or you're a doctor or you are a greeter at Walmart. Whatever you do it with intention to put out positivity in the world. Because if you aren't, then why are you doing what you're doing? And so no matter what job I've had, no matter what I've done in my life, my dad has always asked me, like, what's the positive part? What are you doing to positively contribute to the world? And that was all he really ever cared, was he didn't care what I did. If I had wanted to be, a plumber or a professional tennis player or, like a writer or, a counselor or whatever, he didn't care as long as I was contributing positively to the world. So my dad would come over and he came over and he did this trial run with me. And I remember that he did it 3 times. We did it twice during the day. And then one time during that summer, he came over really early, at 6 in the morning. Because back then school started at 7:10, I think. And we walked it in the morning to make sure I could get there, with enough time. Now, I don't know why I remember this, but I specifically remember, and I was really young. I mean, you're talking at the time, I always turned the year, my birthday's in June, the end of June, so I was always the youngest kid in every class, right? So that means that I would have turned 10 or 11, I don't even know at the ages now, so I think I was 6 when I went into first grade. So here's this little 6th grader walking to school, right? And, I remember vividly January and February mornings in Indiana, ice, snow, and me at 7 o'clock in the morning, my mom hugging me and saying, okay, have a good day. And there I went walking down through the dark streets, really nobody else on the streets, except for maybe a few straggly kids, all of us walking in the same direction with my backpack on, and I can just remember walking through the dark, and I can see that walk so vividly, down the street, our street, and I can remember passing under certain trees and then, turning right and then coming to the bottom of this hill. And that was the one street where my best friend lived, who I didn't meet until junior high. And then, going down further down the street and then, passing a couple of my friends' houses and then eventually, coming to school. And I was thinking about it last night because I've received a specific question from people so much lately. And they're like, what do you do in dark times? What do you do when there's, darkness surrounding you to get to the other side? You always see things so positively. And, it's interesting because I do believe that a lot of the ways that we learn to cope or deal with the world, we learn in childhood. We learn when we're younger, And I think it's why I go to books and I try to, read other people's stories and, jump into their world. And, a lot of the coping mechanisms that I learned, that have helped me, I learned when I was a child. And I think that I learned how to deal with dark times. I'm almost inside, I can feel myself getting kind of emotional. It's weird. By those walks. And I loved those walks. I don't remember ever being afraid. I don't remember ever being running or anything like that. I don't remember ever, being terrified of, that somebody was going to get me or something like that. I don't remember any of that, right? I just remember walking in the cold and it being quiet and peaceful. I mean, this was the time before Walkmans and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't listening to music or anything on the way to school. It was just me walking with my thoughts. And I was thinking about it, I miss those days. I miss walking, and I don't walk anymore. I should get outside and walk and take my dogs for walks and all that kind of stuff, but I don't. And I think with no music and nothing, and Tanya gets in my car, my best friend Tanya, a lot. She'll get in the car and she'll say, you don't listen to music, you don't listen. No, I love to drive around and just have silence. I love to just kind of think in my head sometimes. But on those mornings that I would walk to school, I always knew that at the end of my trip would be my school lit up, right? And then we would walk in there and we would have, the first period and we were going to read a book in 4th grade, or we were going to, have show and tell in 1st grade. I remember all of that vividly. And I remember this, even though I hated school because it was a scary place for me, it was also a safe place. When I was in the rooms with the teachers, elementary school was very safe for me in the rooms with the teachers. It was the playground and the cafeteria that was dangerous for me. But I remember knowing that at the end of that trip, there was going to be this light. And I think that's kind of my attitude about the world today, is that whenever I'm going through dark times, whenever I'm going through really negative times, I look back on those dark times that I've had in the past, like my mother's death or a breakup or leaving a career, things like that, And I think, well, you made it through that because you knew there was going to be something good around the corner, or something good did happen around the corner. So you can make it again because something really good is around the corner. You just don't know it yet, right? The problem is that a lot of us get stuck on that walk, that dark walk, and we start scripting in our heads horrible things that could happen to us and what's going to happen, and I'm scared and I'm terrified and this could happen and that could happen, and then it becomes that and we become obsessed with that, right? And we never really make it to that school. We never get down to that school of thought. That was good, wasn't it? No, but we never get there, right? We just kind of stand on the street corner and we become obsessed with these thoughts. And these obsessed thoughts take over, and then they ruin what we're doing, and they ruin our thoughts, and they ruin our hanging out with people. And then people don't want to hang out with us anymore because they're like, you're paranoid and you're negative all the time and you're sad and whatever. And, what's going to happen if we continue to script those ideas over and over and over again is that that's where we're going to live, is in that sadness, that fear, and that negativity. I don't choose to live there. I choose to live at the bright school. I choose to go down and say, I can make it. I'm going to get there. What's around the corner, And on the way home from school, I knew home was waiting for me. And that was always like this just really safe place. And I've talked about that on my vlog too, that on those days that I just had shit days at school and people were relentless to me and they were bullying me and they were mean to me, I ran home and I can remember the door swinging open and my mom having she used to make me graham crackers and white frosting, probably why I am heavy today, or peanut butter and crackers, and I would always have a snack after lunch and we'd sit there and we'd talk. And that was a safe place for me, I knew that I was going to come home and I was going to have safety in my home. I knew that safe place was right around the corner. And that's how I look at the world, is I have to believe that there's safeness around the corner. There's good things around the corner. There's brightness for me right around the corner. And I'm not willing to stay stuck in the negativity and the dark times and not enjoy what's right around the corner for me. And neither should you. None of us should, right? So when people ask me, what do you do in the dark times? I put one foot in front of the other and I keep on forging forward, because what other option do I have? I have one life. This is not a dress rehearsal. I want to have the best life possible. I want you to have the best life possible, I want you to enjoy every moment of your life and not get stuck in the sadness and the negativity. And I know it's hard. I know it is so hard for so many of us out there, right? There have been so many times in my life where I'm like, I can't go on. I just cannot go on one more minute. People don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand how tough it is. Yes, there is somebody out there that exactly understands exactly what you're going through. There just is. And at this moment, there's somebody that has it 100 times worse than you do, 1,000 times worse than you do. And that's why I focus on gratitude and putting my one foot in front of the other and just keep on going on. Just keep on going on. Just keep on going on. And then something good happens. I'm like, see, this is why. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.